Yeah.
Hello,
Go.
everybody in the internet land. How are you doing today on this day, which is the day that you're watching this? I'm here with my hopefully new friend Toby, who's got an excellent channel, which is, what was your channel again, Toby? Body movement stuff, things.
Body efficiency training. Yes. Body efficiency training. Basically, that's the idea. Yes.
Yeah. And I saw Toby on a splurge on YouTube one night when I just dove down the rabbit hole of somebody's channel. And what particularly attracted me to Toby's work was that he's doing some very esoteric stuff, as we do on this channel. And as we do on this channel also, Toby's able to kind of refine it down to the basic precepts, and then, as I just said, English it for us Anglophiles and Anglo types. That, you know, we're so busy and it's so difficult to kind of comprehend these, not just breaking through other languages, but also breaking through these philosophical systems which tend to encode these things in obscure language. So what Toby does is understand it all, do all the work for you, and then breaks it down and gives it to you easily. And that's why I love Toby's channel. And you should go too, via the link at the bottom, but not till the end, because this will be really interesting. Hello, Toby.
Hey, Ryan. Lovely to be here. Really excited to be on your channel. Again, marvelous channel. Well done. Yes. Really appreciate your channel and your work as well.
Great stuff. My 3 subscribers will really enjoy hearing that. So, look, I'm on quite an extent. You'll get better, I made.
It takes a while for people to get into this. It's difficult stuff we're doing here, but important stuff. And it should be. It should be simple, but it gets very complicated. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And what do you think complicates it?
Well, one thing you said is the language. That is one big deal, is the language itself, because we're trying to express a philosophy that is so deep. We're trying to explain something that can hardly be explained. So you have to come at it from so many different angles. And that's why we've got so many of these different esoteric knowledges, practices, not only in different languages, but they have different formulations of that knowledge. So it gets very confusing. But as you're saying, what I try to do is I've studied so many of these things and I've practiced them. So it's exactly what you said. I try to break it all down and start again. I'm starting from the beginning, just trying to explain it from scratch in English, how the universe works, but in a big way, because we're talking about consciousness and the material world. So there's metaphysics and physics, but we have to have these. We have to have both of these. And metaphysics is subjective. That again makes it very confusing. We all have our own personal experience of it. So how do we then, reconcile all our own personal experiences? There must be a way of explaining them also. So that's what I'm trying to do, and we're trying to do. But it's important work, and we got to keep on trying.
Well, I think that's the thing. I think because it's work on yourself more than anything. It's that alchemical great work that you need a certain amount of time to be able to learn this stuff, assimilate it, and do the work yourself. I often struggle with being excuse me while I put the light on. I often struggle with being, what's the word, a fraud. I often struggle with being a fraud in all these things, as if in one lifetime you could learn all this stuff, digest it, practice it, and put it out again. It's impossible. But I think being a bit humble with it as well will keep you on the straight and narrow.
Yeah. Correct. We're always learning. We never really know. It's a mystery, but we can know. It's like we can know the overall big picture. And I think we all can. And that is a bit of a lie that's been told to us, that it's too difficult to understand. I don't think it is. We're just going through a process of trying to understand it, but we will get there. At least, a simplified big picture of what's going on. But again, in terms of being a fraud, I mean, we've all got that. But actually, all we got to do is be honest. We're honest about what we're trying to do, what we're trying to learn. And that's it. That's all we have to do. Because it is about honesty, trying to find our consciousness, our soul, And you can't really cheat at that. You know, you're only cheating yourself if you're trying to look for your soul, and you're sort of, you know, you're in denial of that. But that's right. Ego is a big one. That's part of the, you know, the advancement of consciousness, rising a bit above ego, seeing a bit of a bigger picture outside your own limited, what do you call it, perspective of yourself. But we're all doing that. We all got to do that. It's part of the process.
And I think that comes naturally with martial arts, especially if you're doing the whole sculpt. If you're not just doing like kata, or, you know, doing the form of chi, tai chi or whatever. And, you know, you get beaten up, you do it wrong, you get told off, you know, it kills your ego. But what then kind of boosts your ego in a better way is that when you come out of the class, or when you come away from a session, that, oh, if I can go home and practice that, and then the next time you go in, you get good at it. So there's this developmental thing that comes naturally with martial arts, which is why, one of the reasons why I think it comes in line with all this body art, energy art and stuff.
Yeah, it's really awareness, and we all need that. You know, we actually, martial arts is pure awareness. You know, you just got to be aware. You don't know what's going to happen, but the awareness allows you to react. And we all need that awareness. You know, we sort of get lost in a daydream, then things go wrong. We just want to maintain our awareness, and martial arts is very good for that. But I would say really the ultimate goal is when you start to experience the energy. Once you can feel, oh, there is an energy. I can feel it in your body. The chi, you know, the chi energy itself, the life force. When you can feel some energy in your body when you do the exercises or whatever you're doing, then it becomes quite real. And that is when you really start feeling, okay, there's more, there's something to this, and I've got to work on it. Oh, you're gone again. Have you gone?
We're back. Yeah, I think it was me this time. Cool. So you were saying,
well, it's the best I can do. Yeah, I'm right next to the router, so I'm hoping this is going to be good enough. Yeah.
Yeah. No, you look great, mate. You look beautiful. You're called handsome back from Tenerife. So what were we saying then? I've totally lost track already.
Well, we're just talking about consciousness, awareness, and martial arts. And why we need it, why we all need it, really. But it's not difficult. You see, again, people still think, I don't want to do martial arts. You don't have to do this, you know, heavy duty external physical stuff. You just got to start working internally on your body. Anyone can do this at any age. Just minor improvements in your body structure, your body posture, and you will see improvements in your energy. It's quite simple. And that's my whole approach. It's not so much what exercise you're doing or what martial arts you're doing. It's how you do it. There's a way of holding your body better. And we don't pay attention to this. It's probably, I would say, it's the most underrated training is body posture alignment. I mean, people do talk about it, a good posture, but it is the single most important physical thing you can do to develop your energy and the feeling of chi, you know, the life force energy, the flow, a feeling you physically, well, I say physically, but once you have a sensation of energy moving in your body, there's no doubt. At the beginning, when you start this practice, it's a bit mysterious, but the moment you feel, oh yeah, I can feel there is energy, then it starts becoming real.
I think as well, where you've already, everybody out there, you've already felt the energy. You've just not known what it was at the time. You know, you've not had your attention on it to say, you know, you might have thought, oh, my bowels just shifted a bit then. I must need the toilet soon, or something else crashed in the bottle.
Yes, absolutely.
But actually, it could be, you know, your kidneys have just let go a little energy and it's come round and it's bubbling up now. And, you know, as far as I've experienced it, this energy's got a very electrochemical, watery nature to it. It's like a electrical water somehow. Does that ring true with you?
Brilliant. Brilliantly said. Absolutely said. Well said. I mean, that's why I talk about it in two ways. I talk about it in terms of chi, that we feel it and people can relate to that. But I also talk about it a bit scientifically, and then I talk about it as ether, because ether is the same. To me, it's the same energy, but ether is more scientific, and I can try and explain how the universe might work with that. But chi is the same energy, but we experience it. And yes, it behaves like this pure fluid. It's a fluid energy. It flows like water.
What do you think that is?
But you've got different.
Why do you think it takes this fluid form? I remember the first time. I'll tell you a story. So this is the first time I ever felt anything like this. I'd already been into the shamanic side of things, and I was editing a video at work. One of the very few times I've had to work in an office, and I'm surrounded by other graphic designers and video producers and stuff like that. And I'm just editing this video. We've got a tight deadline, and then it started happening. This like chemical, watery, heated. Yeah. It was almost insignificant when it was at my lower dantian, at my Svadhisthana chakra, whatever you want to call it, just behind my belly button, underneath my belly button. And it started bubbling up, and I'm like, whoa, what's this? Felt orgasmic. Bubbling up, and then it hit where my solar plexus is, and then suddenly it branched out into like a fiery electrical flower and came. It only got up to about my neck, but I'm sat at my desk holding my mouse going, oh my God. Everyone's like, what's wrong with this guy? I'm like, oh no. Do you want a tissue, Ryan? No. Oh, it was funny, but it was like, what was that? And then on my way home on the train, I remember thinking back a few nights before, do you know who, he's gone a bit crackers now, but do you know who Santos Bonacci is, an Australian chap?
Yes, I heard of him. I can't think I've watched him or seen him yet. Oh, maybe I have. Yes, maybe I have. He's worked in the freedom movement, doesn't he? Is that right?
Yeah,
about the freedom movement.
His main thing was like astrology and all these arts in the Western tradition, basically. Yeah, and then he got into all the sovereign citizen stuff. But he went a bit bonkers. They locked him up for a bit, and I think they got to him. But anyway, he'd said that there's this psychosomatic seed, you know, the old Christos. You might have heard the Western version of this, more biblical Western version, with the chrism that comes down from your head and gets charged up. Do you know all that stuff? Yeah. So he'd said that as your sun sign, as the moon is passing through your sun sign, so I'm a Gemini, if you've been clean on the run up to it, then this seed can get charged. So I was like, it just popped into my head, and I was like, what? That just sounds ridiculous. So I knew the time it had happened to me. And then so I looked at it as literally as the moon left my sun sign, that happened to me. Now, I don't particularly believe it, and that's not very scientific, but it happened. And that was the start of it all for me. But I just can't quite comprehend why it's liquid. Energy doesn't move like a liquid, surely. Does it?
Yeah, it does. It does. Yeah. Again, liquid, it's very difficult to understand this because it's a pure liquid. That means there's no particles. We think of water, and water is made of particles. It's not water, but everything in the universe does sort of mimic this fluid dynamics. Electricity was liquid. They used to think of it as liquid. They talked about it as liquid. Even light, you can look at as liquid. It all behaves. But what's interesting is what you're talking about there is that you had a sort of Kundalini awakening. Yeah. But that you see, you've got all these different levels to the liquid. You've got the mysterious levels to the liquid, and then you've got these more physical levels, like light is a bit more physical, electricity is a bit more physical, but you've got physical fluids, the hormonal fluids themselves, they're so mysterious. That is like the life force juice in your body. That's why you said it's a bit orgasmic. If you think about it, this is all electrical. Even the orgasm is like an electric shock. It's an electric current running through your body. But what we have to do is harness it. You circulate the electricity around and around, and you circulate the fluid, the hormonal fluid, round and around. So that's what the Kundalini talk about. That's what the Tao talk about. So that's what you're experiencing as fluid, and you'll feel fluid sometimes moving in the brain. Of course, you've got blood, you've got water, all different fluids in the body, and they all connect. They're all controlled by the consciousness. But consciousness itself is this sort of subtle fluid. Again, we don't know why, But we got to say something. You've got to say, what is the universe made of? Let's just say it's made of this fluid. It keeps it very simple. If you say it's made of particles, it's harder to explain, because you've got to say, what is a particle? It's just a fluid. You can have, see, I talk about particles, atoms, but they are just like a bubble in this fluid. Put it that way. So if we can, and that's the old philosophy, chi. Everything is chi. The whole universe is made up of this life force energy, but we got different densities. This body is very dense, but our soul spirit is more diffuse. It's lighter, but the same energy. And that makes it simple, but it's difficult for us to understand now, because we've learned all this fragmented science. And in particular, quantum mechanics has made it very complicated. And it's not quite right. You see, I talk a lot against quantum mechanics, but I think they've made it very confusing. But this is going back to an older model, the model of the ether, but that goes with the Tao, it goes with shamanism, and it's timeless. Ancient philosophies talk about this.
Well, it's come back, the ether. They're having to refer to it again because of the field. Yeah, because
Tesla's made it famous. Tesla's the one, and free energy is the secret of free energy. But ultimately,
they don't like that.
On my channel.
They don't like the woo. They don't like Carl Jung, and they don't like Nikola Tesla. But these are the guys that had the key at the same time, pretty much. So, yeah. So, what was your first experience with this all? How did you arrive at all this? Obviously, you've done martial arts.
Childhood. Since childhood. You see, I was also involved in meditation practices, yoga, deep philosophy. I read all Carlos Castaneda when I was a young child, all of his books. And I read all books on Tibetan monks, astral traveling. Since a young, I don't know how old, 6, 8, 10 years old, I started. I was already meditating at a young age. I started martial arts at about 13, and then gradually on and off martial arts throughout my life, all different ones. But my, spiritual experiences started very, very young. And I'm sure it's the same for you. We've got this intrinsic nature. We're quite spiritual beings. We can't help it. But I would say, in terms of what you're talking about, one of the first times I could feel my chi waking up is, again, training in Qigong. So I train a lot of the Qigong. I was learning it in part of my Kung Fu. But initially, I couldn't quite get it. I just like, okay, I'm doing these exercises. I don't quite know what am I supposed to get. But eventually, it's like it woke up and my body started to move by itself. So it's what I call spontaneous movement. It's the same as what you had, a spontaneous experience. It happened by itself. But this was in my body moving the muscles. And then, so my body itself would start moving all by itself. And whoa, what's going on? How am I doing this? So at first, it's very disconcerting.
Was it controlled movement? Okay. Was it a fluid movement, or was it kind of jerky?
Fluid, yeah. Both jerky, controlled. It could be anything. It's quite powerful, high tension. Again, see that's there are different levels to experiencing the chi. Most people will start off very relaxed, and you can just feel, oh, that's nice. I can feel something. But when it goes deeper, it will go into the muscles. When it goes into the muscles, that's when you have more like a spasm and actual spontaneous tension happening. That's a bit more dramatic. But then it goes a bit deeper. It will go into the bones. When it goes into the bones, that is also more. That's more of a spiritual experience. You feel it very deep, flowing through your body, like this fluid or air or wind or light. Even you see light. So again, that you would have a spontaneous visual experience, or even a spontaneous auditory experience. Essentially, it's moving into psychedelics. That's what also you were having. When the energy builds up and it rises up, it moves from the denser energy into the more spiritual energy. So you have a more internal experience. And ultimately, it goes to the pineal gland, which which we're talking about. Pineal gland activates these psychedelic experiences, but it's done naturally, in the shamanic way.
Do you ever worry that? Sorry, do you ever worry that you won't be able to turn it off? I haven't, but I have had that thought.
Yeah, I mean, that's a deep question. I mean, again, this is all personal. So,
Mm.
you and me both, we're talking about this, so we're putting ourselves out there. But I always try and say, look, I'm explaining this, I'm sharing my experience, but you can't really copy me, you can't follow me, because my life's totally different. You just got to listen to what I'm saying. So in my life, yes, I would say that that's been, one of my biggest life lessons is how to ground myself, because since a childhood I've been so spiritual. So you tend to go off. You go off into dreams. You've got to be
Yes.
careful.
Yeah.
And if you get lost in a psychedelic experience, well, that's psychosis. You've got to be careful. And that's how a lot of these groups, you get a lot of cults build up from this. I mean, I'd argue religions themselves are still just bigger established cults. They're power structures that, human beings have created to gain this energy. Actually, they're sort of taking it for themselves. I'm the guru, you all worship me. That means you're giving me the energy and I'm getting it. No, it don't work like that. But what it means is, yes, me personally, I've struggled to ground myself. That's why I must do physical training. If you do physical hard training, that helps you to ground it. And you want to ground it because we don't really want to go off. We want to elongate this life, make this body stronger, fitter, healthier, and keep going. My plan is to keep
shape. Yeah, you are. You're in great shape, mate.
I've had a very stressful life. I can also say that it's and I'm sure you're the same. It's not smooth sailing.
No.
Massive, turmoil. And again, you can't judge me by how old I look, because age is also a reflection of how much stress you've had in your life. And I've had a lot of stress. So if I hadn't, I would still look younger, and we all would. But that's why I say, never judge anyone by the way they look, because they might have had a lot of stress and they're doing very well for it,
Oh, well, no, you say that. I just looked at the date. It's my birthday next week. That's how old I'll be. Don't dare. Don't you dare.
I don't believe in age. Doesn't matter. It's just a number. Makes no difference to this training. Any age you can do it.
It's your energy. That's what I always say. It's not your age, it's your energy.
Correct. Yeah. And also, of course, the body is always regenerating. Every 7 or 8 years, you have a whole new set of cells in your body. They all regrow. And that still puzzles me. Okay, every 7 years, I've got a brand new body. Why am I getting older? It makes no sense. I just wait another 7 years, I've got a new one. It's only because the mind...
I mean, it's not overnight, Toby. You know, like, wake up when the Amazons come on, my body's here. Yeah, it's. I think it's the bit by bit that makes it bad. It's those Tellurans, whatever they're called. Anyway, I do see that with some people, if you look at the Chinese guys that are doing this to the nth degree, the guys that are able to far jin and far chi, and that means for everybody out there, project your chi from your hands and other similar places. Yeah. A lot of them die from heart attacks. I think because of the techniques, not necessarily from the actual chi itself, but they're all straining all the time and pulling up that perineum, and you seen them.
Yeah. That's right. Now, okay, you've hit a big subject here, because in my journey, again, I'm explaining all this stuff in my own way, and there are slight differences to Kung Fu, Qigong, Tai Chi, yoga. There are slight differences. And that's why now I'm using the word tensegrity. I like the word from Carlos Castaneda, because it's sort of separate from those. But I do believe a lot of these practices, again, are not quite right. That's the bottom line. They're not doing it quite right. It's not the chi. And even if it's very old, 500-year-old practice, 1,000-year-old practice, it still might not be right. Yoga, again, yoga. Okay, I do it, but I do it in a slightly different way. And again, I look at the old yogis. Some of the old yogis, they've got bow legs. They're very thin. They can do incredible things, but they've got bow legs, and they're too thin. So they're not quite looking after their body quite right. They should be a perfect posture. Their legs should be straight. They should have, regenerated to a degree. Chi masters have a big belly. A lot of them, they let the belly hang out. I don't think the belly should be hanging out.
Well, I think we say that's
down. Yeah.
That's with the
So I
bone
think
marrow.
there's
So we were
one.
sorry, go on, mate.
Carry on.
I was going to
Yeah.
say that I think that's because when they get to the bone marrow washing stage, you know what that is, but everybody out
Oh, yeah.
there, we were just talking a moment ago, it goes through your fascia, then into your muscle, and then into your bones.
Yeah.
And at this point, so they don't want to use the muscles because it's breaking it down. It's not
No. You
putting your
have to.
attention in the place you want to. So they're
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, let's get a bit flabby and let it go. And I don't
Yeah.
agree
But
with that
that's no
either.
good.
No, it's no
No,
good.
it's no good. I'll tell you why, because you're compromising your body structure. You're losing the optimum structure. And it's very rare to see anyone with good posture. I've looked for years. I look at everyone, I study everyone, see what they're doing. It's once every few months, 6 months, a year, I spot someone. I think, wow, that guy has got good structure. Or a child. Again, even children, yeah, they've lost the posture. But occasionally you see a young, healthy child and you think, wow, that they got the spine just right. They're standing tall, their belly's in, and it's natural.
Yeah.
You see, I think when you have got enough chi, the belly will pull in by itself. Again, you talked about it earlier. When the chi activates, it moves your body for you. See, I've lost my chi, I've collapsed. Now I have to work to lift myself up. But if I had some chi, the chi does it. Now, effectively, I'm not working. So again, they'll say, no, you don't do force because you're working. No, I'm not doing force. It's the chi that is doing it. But the chi is electricity. Look at it like this. You have tension and relaxation in the body. That is electricity. When there is tension, electricity has gone to the muscles to activate them. When there's relaxation, the electricity has gone away. You can see it in those, those abdominal crunching machines. You stick them on, you put a battery, and they crunch your abdominals.
Yeah.
That is literally an electric shock externally pumping your abdominal muscles. You're not doing any work. The machine, the battery is doing it. But if you've got chi deep down inside in your kidneys, your dantian, chi is there, then that chi will activate the muscles in your abdomen. You won't feel like you're doing any work. But it takes a while to get there. And until you get there, you have to practice. Remind yourself, hold a good posture. But one day you'll notice, oh, I'm just holding a good posture. How did that happen? And it's easier. Again, it's counterintuitive. You're doing a bit of work, but when you get it right, suddenly you're less weight. You lose weight. You're lighter. Everything is easier.
Yeah.
I can reach further.
Yeah.
I can lift heavier things. How did I do that? Because you've got the alignment, the bone structure right, and the chi, the energy is just nicely doing it for you. That's what I would say.
Strange. Yeah, it seems to be a strange combination between attention, having done it before. Obviously, you must have done it before, but it's like a relaxation and an attention. Like you put your attention on, and my posture's wrong. Oh, and then you just kind of relax into that perfect posture again.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah,
and you apply. And
it's a very relaxing thing. Sorry, go on, mate.
Yeah, all I was going to say is that's right. But I say this over in my channel over and over. There's 3 aspects to this training. There's a universal to all of this training. Only 3 things. If you train these 3 things, you're on the right track. And I put it in this order. Number 1 is relaxation. It's not easy to actually totally go dead. It's very difficult. In yoga, they call it savasana, the dead pose. Very difficult to actually go dead. So you practice lying down, trying to achieve deep relaxation and trying to relax completely, locally. That's 1. Number 2 is alignment. You have to do a bit of work to get your structure correct. And then number 3 is tension. That is when you do some harder work. You're applying tension, but only when you got the structure right. Because if you're applying tension and it's wrong, that's when you hurt yourself. That's what everyone is doing. They're going to the gym, doing exercises in poor form. When you do the exercise in poor form, you've got a higher risk of injury and the energy doesn't flow so well. You get tired. When you do this training, you start off maybe a bit tired, but in 5-10 minutes, you've actually got energy. You leave with more energy than you started. It's the opposite.
Yeah.
Very
It's weird, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
And that tension is it's expansive, isn't it? That's what's strange about it.
Yeah.
You might think tension, ball it up. No. It's like it's a stretching. You're able to, as you can stretch out. There's another kind of stretching where you can kind of stretch in, like a compressive stretching. Strangely, I know it seems like an oxymoron, but
no, that's right. Opening the joints. They call it in Tai Chi opening the joints. But that's what I'm talking about. Opening the joints. All of them must open. But most important is the spine. And that's where these people have gone wrong. Again, the spine has got a natural curve, but Tai Chi and internal Kung Fu, they tend to straighten out the spine. They want it to go straight. Yeah. So they'll tuck the pelvis under, stretch it out. Yeah, okay, for a moment, but that is not the natural position of the spine. It might have some strength at that particular structure, but I would suggest we don't hang around in that. You want to maintain the natural one. So
can I interject
again? You think, well, that's go.
Yeah. So I totally agree with you, and it was the first thing I noticed when I was watching your stretchy videos where you're pulling your lower chakra in. When I forgot what you called it.
The belly in. But,
I totally noticed that was the first thing you're doing. I thought, oh, it's strange for a Chinese martial artist. I'm a Japanese martial artist and a bit of European stuff, but strange for a Chinese martial artist not to be
I've spent a long time doing Aikido. Yeah, I know. I did Aikido, some karate, and judo a little bit. So I know the Japanese very. Right. I still remember how to count to 10 in Japanese.
Ich-ni-san Shigo, yeah. Ich-ni-san Shigo.
I do remember.
So go on.
But
do you want to list us your martial arts off? Do you want to list them off for us?
Well, I would say number one is Shaolin Kung Fu. I spent the most time doing traditional Shaolin Kung Fu. Together with that, I also did Taekwondo. Then the next longest time I spent doing Tai Chi, and then all sorts of Qigong, Taoist practice. But again, that's not martial arts. Then to a lesser extent, Aikido, some karate, judo, certain amount of wrestling, jiu-jitsu. More of my wrestling was in Tai Chi wrestling. We just played around with that. I would have liked to do more
wrestling, isn't it?
In time, I want to do more wrestling because I believe the structure it will apply to wrestling as well as striking. It's the same principles will apply. And then of course I've done yoga, but that's not so much martial arts. So that's what I would say is my history. But I've done, I popped into classes and done all different styles over the years, different bits and bobs. But again, I'm trying to go back to universal principles. What is underlying all of them? What are they all doing that is similar? And then how can I extract that and explain it?
Yeah.
And if I can do that, and if I can, that's my idea. Body efficiency training. If you get my simple idea, you can apply it to whatever martial art you're already doing. It should just take you up another notch. That's it.
It will do. I've seen what you're practicing, and I guarantee anybody out there, if you're already practicing a martial art, that the stuff that Toby's teaching will absolutely improve your martial arts. I've recently taken up Tai Chi a bit more full time, not Tai Chi Chuan, which is a fist for everybody out there. It means the martial version, but the actual Qigongi version, although I do Yang style. And I'm mindful that I'm doing martial arts the whole time. But my longest martial art that I practiced was ninjutsu, which, like Kung Fu, is much misunderstood. Yeah.
So I didn't do that, but I had a good friend, a student of mine, who was a ninjutsu practitioner. So we had our own sparring sessions.
Had you done Aikido by then? Cool.
Yeah,
had you done Aikido by then? Yeah, because there's a bit of an interlink between those two. It's like rough Aikido in places. Yeah. Yeah, it's very sneaky though. But there's this whole other side to it as well. Yeah, that's not spoken about, which is, the most of the thing that you learn first is the postures and how to hold yourself properly. And I think, back to what we were saying before, that people actually need to tuck that coccyx under a bit more if you're doing certain martial arts. And those martial arts would be anytime you've got a broad stance. So ninjutsu has very broad stances where your legs are almost at a right angle.
Yes.
I'm not talking to you, Toby. I'm talking to everybody out there. I know you know your stuff.
Yeah.
So I find that to move quickly, a little tucking of that coccyx is actually quite important, but isn't taught in the Japanese martial arts. It's something I picked up from doing Tai Chi. I think Tai Chi, although I've heard it put the other way, if you study a martial art that fights, a fighting martial art, you know, Aikido's not one of these, Kung Fu's probably not one in all fairness, a lot of Kung Fu, you know, a lot of karate. Look, the base arts of these things, I'm sure, you know, you get a good fighter, you get somebody that's good at martial arts, anybody can use most things. However, yeah, I think a little more of that, but a little less in the Chinese stuff, as you were saying.
Well, I would say, okay, I agree with you.
He agrees with me, but he's stopped. So, shall we? I wonder if I could like edit his mouth into to say what I want to. Come and watch Ryan's channel.
Oh.
There we go. We're back.
Well, I'll keep talking, but I've lost you there. All I'm saying
I've got
is
you now,
that
Toby.
we need to be able to control our spine, including the pelvic tilt. And even though I've got the neutral spine, the pelvis might be slightly tilted backwards, anterior tilt, I've still got tension in the hip joint. So I'm still activating the glutes, the hips, as if I'm driving the pelvis under. And I'm also pulling the belly in. So I've got to create a dynamic tension in the hip joint itself, in the pelvis, and control that. Then,
oh, that was getting golden. Oh, Toby, come back to me.
yeah, essentially, I was agreeing with you. Yes, we need to be able to control the pelvic tilt, but ultimately, it's actually controlling the spine. I've got to be able to control the pelvic tilt however I want it. And actually, depending on how low or high I go, I will adjust the pelvic tilt according to my height. It's a dynamic tension in the spine. Use the glutes, the hip joint, and the belly together. So even though I might not tuck my pelvis under, I will still squeeze the glutes to activate it like I'm trying to drive the pelvis under, but I don't drive it under. I'm still pull the belly in opposite, and this will create a tension locking up the spine. See, the main reason
do you find that yeah, do you find I'm going to try and copy you and see what happens?
Yeah, basically you just play with the pelvic tilt. You play with the pelvic tilt and the belly and try to feel, you'll feel there's an optimum position and it's a slight anterior tilt. It's not Tai Chi, they tuck it under. But if you're going to sit on a chair, you will stick your bottom slightly out like you're sitting on a chair. So karate, I think, have it slightly back. It's better.
Yeah.
When you tuck it under, you're hyperextending the lumbar. So this is where I again, now I had some chats with Tai Chi people, and there's some different experts, the different levels of Tai Chi, and some of these people have said they agree with me. Yeah, no, a natural spine. But others say, no, you're supposed to tuck it under. Like Wing Chun is a classic Kung Fu style where they really tuck the pelvis under. You squeeze the glutes, tuck it under, and you round off your back. Okay, again, that's a dynamic posture. I will use that. Like I would call that snake Kung Fu, because I want to have the total mobility of the spine, do anything at all. But I need to know where the natural position is. I've got to practice that for so long that I will always spring back, to the natural position. Now I can go anywhere. So again, it's very delicate. We can all do it, but it is a tricky balance to adjust the pelvic tilt.
It's keeping your attention on it.
I agree with you. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And you'll find it. There's a nice balance. It's the same with the head. You'll see the head can go up or down, but there's a nice point where the skull just balances on the spine. And if you get the pelvis and the skull just nice and the natural spine, you'll feel it. Oh, that's perfect.
One of my favorite things about that is I try and do that. I actually have my own martial art now. That similar to you. Brilliant. Like I've put all these things together and then I teach this stuff. So and it's actually more based on the energy stuff than anything, or certainly the philosophy of it all. But anyway, I find that when I've done a little tuck of my coccyx under, and I actually do most of the time fight the way that you're suggesting, but those times that I want to be more mobile and have a very long posture, I'll do slightly unusual things where I want to pull power down to my lower pelvis.
Yes.
Yeah.
Complete freedom of movement. You can do anything you like. Once you've got the hang of this, anything you like. Bend the spine any way you want, but you're aware of it and you know where the limits are. That's the problem. We don't know where the limits are, and then you hurt yourself. That's when you go wrong. And they say that these postures in Tai Chi are too static. You see, when you've locked the spine like this, it's a static posture. Tai Chi, they don't think you've got to be able to wrestle. You've got to be able to strike. You've got to be able to do everything. You've got to be able to drop to wrestling, change everything. Again, it's counterintuitive because you think it's a weaker position of the spine. It's not weaker. It's more balanced. It's the midpoint of movement. I can bend backwards or I can bend forward. I could suddenly tilt or arch. I could do either one. Anyways, it's minor detail, but my point is spine is the #1 alignment to practice. Everything else comes after that. That's my main point. Yeah.
I was just about to add a little thing now. I was saying that at the beginning of a class, we do this certain alignment thing. And right at the end, the last thing I get them to do is go from that tucked position with the coccyx tucked and then into the S, strangely. Because I actually agree with you that you said the great word dynamic. However, one of my favorite things about tucking that coccyx is that when you put your chin down a little bit, the middle of my back clicks. And from sitting in a chair all day, on the computer.
You've got to mobilize your spine.
So
You've got to you mobilize it, do all this. You create a wave. You can create a wave going up your spine, and that will help.
I'm just going to stand back from the camera and say, Toby.
Yeah.
So at the beginning of my class, this is something that we do. Was literally what I was just talking about. Then is
show me.
We've done this first little thing that's a bit Tai Chi, but a bit more Japanese looking, and then the last thing we do, it's like, you know how you can take an axe and literally use your spine to do the axe.
Oh yeah.
So we take an axe, an imaginary axe, do that, boom, and literally do exactly what you said. And the best thing for the students is that the backs are aligned. When they've done that, I say like, right, stay there. We do the first posture, and then they're aligned, at least for half an hour or so.
Brilliant.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, that's a wave. You create a wave through the back, a whip. Now you're talking about spine power. You're putting the whole spine power into this axe strike. And of course, you know, Aido, that's the samurai sword, same principle. And if you can create this movement in the spine, flow it out through the arm into the sword, you've got more power again. Every little motion through the spine will add a bit more power if you can get it. And then if you can connect it to the shoulder, the elbow, the wrist, you've got this kinetic chain. But yes, and then I would say when you do that, as well as you'll notice, pull the belly in, that gives you the elasticity to pull back. So you're going
pull the perineum as well, mate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Pull up the pelvic floor,
we pull the belly and the perineum, at the same time, because I want it to be, I want it to be a little bit mystical and a little bit martial arty.
You're sucking the energy up. That's right. You're sucking the energy up. Don't forget they were doing that. The sword, even in Tai Chi sword, when they lift the sword up, is to connect to the cosmic force. And they would hold the Tai Chi sword and they have these two fingers. So if this was the sword, they'll go like this, slide the two fingers down the sword. You must have seen that. That's to put the chi into the sword. But the samurai would have it as well. The sword held up like this. Connected to
when I've tried the Chinese sword. So when I've tried that Chinese sword, and had it in one hand, I've realized that just putting those two fingers there can actually help you to move that in a two-handed way, just by pressing your own wrist.
Hold it this way.
I've never really used Tai Chi
sword like that, and also hold the other hand. No. Let's just play with it. You know, exactly right. It's a slightly different style. That's what makes this so confusing. Everyone's got this different internal postures, and that's the bit that I was trying to narrow down, find the universal one, hence body efficiency training. But I've taken it outside martial arts. It's so universal, it applies to basic health and fitness, but incidentally it still applies to martial arts. It's just the most efficient posture. That's what you need in martial arts, efficiency. That's what you need.
And I think as well, for the kind of stuff that you're teaching, Toby, that attention and awareness of the internal structures of your body, and having that as a primary almost. Obviously, I've not taken your classes or anything, but I can see what you're doing. That will make your martial art better. Whatever martial art you're doing, go and look at Toby's videos. It will make your martial art better. Facts.
Yeah, both of us. But that's what we're doing. Universal principles will apply to everything.
Yeah.
Exactly right. And people are not. The trouble with martial arts is you get distracted by the opponent. You're fighting the other opponent, and they distract you. Then you lose your internal awareness. Really, when you're fighting an opponent, that's why Tai Chi is nice. It's slow. It gives you a chance to maintain your internal awareness when you're fighting an opponent, and you have to pull yourself back because you get afraid. Oh, no, pull back, and then you'll find when you're really fighting yourself, you're fighting against the distraction of your opponent. But when you get that right, you get this nice flow state. Now you're just feeling the flow of the energy coming in. Then you can get faster. Then you get faster, you get closer to real fighting. But that's why you practice it slowly. You're fighting yourself, trying to maintain control of your own body. You're not trying to control the other person's body, your body. See, they may try and control your body, but you don't let them by you controlling your own body. You see what I'm saying? You feel it. They twisting my arm.
Yeah.
No, I control my posture. It's like that.
Yes.
So you need that
I like
in wrestling when someone's really trying to twist you up, you know.
Yeah, some as ninjutsu, we kind of like to give them a limb. Yeah, take that. Second you've got it, I've got you. That is that kind of a principle. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. Trick them in. Yeah, you're like monkey kung fu. That was one of my favorites. Monkey kung fu. Same idea. Is completely tricksy. You play all sorts of little tricks. Monkey kung fu. You know, you go around like you're injured.
Obviously,
so they think
I've seen them doing it.
No, I'm not really injured.
Shaolin, isn't it? It's Shaolin stuff.
Yeah, Shaolin. It comes from Shaolin, but they've got their own monkey kung fu schools now. So you've got these different schools in monkey kung fu. I trained in Malaysia for 1 week in a monkey kung fu school. That was one of my most exciting weeks training. Very difficult, hard, tough training they were doing. You know, young children as well.
How are they developing the power?
Big pardon?
How does the power come out? Is it swinging? I'm just using my imagination. Is it swinging and stuff like that?
Yeah, that's right. Well, it's very similar to Shaolin, but they had different monkey forms. So they're sort of playing like a monkey. But again, similar to karate, he had another assistant who was, I think he was like a 7th Dan karate instructor who came and helped him teach. But he was a monkey kung fu teacher. He was also advisor to the Wing Chun Federation in Malaysia, something like that. So he was highly respected even in Wing Chun, but he was doing monkey kung fu. But basic structure, punching, kicking, like you would see, and then they would do some monkey forms moving about. But of course, they do sparring, and they do. They'd have, on a concrete floor.
I go for
floor.
Yeah,
I'm all about 12-year-old girls doing it. 12-year-old girls pumping out knuckle push-ups. Very, very
nice.
Tough students he had. Yeah.
But
that was exciting.
I'm all about a concrete floor, Toby. Yeah, if there's a hard floor in there. Because look, if you're training on mats, you get ninjutsu's and my martial arts got a lot of falling and rolling in it naturally, as does Aikido. So if you're training for grass or a mat, that's not going to serve you very well when you're out on the street. You know what I mean? So I make sure that it's hardwood floor or concrete. Yeah. At the very most, you get grass.
Have you looked into Sistema, the Russian martial art? That might interest you. Have you seen that? Sistema?
Yeah.
They've got a very interesting way of rolling. Oh, good.
Yeah. They've got a very interesting way of moving. It's just, that's fine when they're training. I think some of it goes, as do all martial arts, some of it goes way overboard in Sistema. But I like the way of movement a lot.
Yeah,
that gentle swinging.
They have a very interesting roll. Yeah, they don't cross over the spine. They go down the side of the spine and then roll across the hips. So they never hit the spine on the floor. So they've trained so whenever you hit a hard floor, no bones in your spine ever hit the floor. But in Aikido, Judo, you tend to roll across the spine, and we did it in Kung Fu, roll across. So sometimes you get a bruise on your spine, when you're going on a hard floor. But that's an interesting one. And they developed their martial art independently from the East. So that again fascinates me, because most martial arts are in the East. This comes from somewhere else. Let's see what they've come up with. So you see some underlying similar principles. That's what's interesting. That's why I look at everyone, what everyone's doing, see what they do. You know.
Yeah, and that was the entire. Look, like I said, I connected with you the way you were talking straight away, because I could see we shared this ethos of. I've also done Muay Thai, karate, a little bit of kung fu, not much. Obviously, Tai Chi, ninjutsu, jiu-jitsu, black belt, six-dan ninjutsu. What else have I done? Look, I've done the whole gamut, and I've learned. Yeah, you know, I've learned everything I could from everybody I could. Done travels, done boxing, done wrestling, done catch.
Yeah, you've done it now. Yeah.
You know, I love weapons as well, so I've done HEMA. I've done, you know, I've done the whole thing. Yeah. But it's all bollocks in any situation. It's like, you're not going to use HEMA in a bar. You're not going to use ninjutsu in, you know what I mean? It's not going to happen. Yeah. But I can take all these things and do a Toby, condense them down, compress them, understand them. Where do they interrelate? Where do they interlink? What are these fundamental principles? Because we can use those.
Yes, and everyone can benefit from it. And it's remarkable. It's another type of training. We're not used to it, but it's less work. Again, it's easier in that you don't, you know, you're not bodybuilding, but you can do hard work, but you gain more energy from it faster. That's what's so interesting about it. You see, I'm not interested in working hard. Ultimately, I'm lazy. I'm interested in efficiency. How do I get the most benefit out of exercise for the least amount of time and effort? That's what it boils down to. That we can all do that. So if you're super fit already, this will make you up another level. But if you're incapacitated, this could get you started. It's not so hard as thinking you've got to go running, go to the gym. No, just take it easy. Slowly build up your body from the inside. You will see benefit faster and easier. Then you get some energy, you do more. So it does apply. And now, like, you know, both of us now, I think we can safely say, we've done martial arts. We know it goes on forever. We've done as much as is humanly possible. Next thing is, how about the energy? What about the energy, the chi? Because ultimately, again, I'll see it in three ways. You've got, okay, let's say two ways. You've got physical martial arts. You can have all these techniques and you could do something, but you've also got energy martial arts. You can just release your chi. So even that, you know, the shout, the ki, if you can release a shout with some power, even that is a stun. You know, that will stun the person.
That word literally means release the ki. It means ki. Yeah, that's it. It means put it over there.
Exactly.
Put the energy out.
We had it in Kung Fu as well. Bruce Lee is known for it. Woo! Yeah, it sounds.
What was that? You broke up. You broke up then, Toby. You made a funny noise then, mate. Right, okay.
But you know what I'm saying? He's releasing the energy, and you're psyching the other person out. It's energetic. Even the eyes, you can see it in the eyes. You know, when you come into a fight, just the eyes. Okay, don't mess with this guy. Interesting enough, in the Monkey Kung Fu guy, he said it as well. You look down, you just look up. Don't necessarily make eye contact. Because sometimes you make eye contact. Again, you've got to be extremely confident that your eye contact must dominate. Otherwise, you don't make eye contact. But what you do is watch the shoulder line. And it's disconcerting for them because you're not looking at them, but you are looking at their body, their whole energy field. Yeah. But if you do look up, you know, sudden look in the eyes, it's like, that's right. You look straight to the third eye. You're going straight in and you're giving a command. And if you give the command, you already demoralize them. And then that you must have seen that Sistema as well. They do the no-touch Kung Fu. You must have seen all the no-touch Kung Fu. You know, throwing the people about like that. So to me, this is a semi-hypnosis. You know, there's not really any real Kung Fu going on here. It doesn't work on a skeptic. It only works on their students. A willing person. You've got to submit to it. But this is the classic way. Okay, if you're going to do that to me, you're going to look me in the eyes, try and do it to me. Yeah, you can't do it to me. But my point being is, it's a higher level, energy level. And even if you're going to do a physical fight, if I have to defend myself, so I'm not doing full contact sparring now. I'm not going to do MMA fighting. I'm not going to prove myself. But if I have to defend myself one day, how would I do it? Again, no thought. I would just increase my chi and suddenly explode it out into some crazy animal movement. Just go forward. So you don't know what you're doing, but you're creating a massive physical force, and some movements extremely fast, extremely powerful, just exploding out the chi. So it comes from energy. And in yeah, there you go. But you don't, there's no training for that. There's no planning for that. That's just, that builds up, and you'll feel it. And again, we can all do that. You see, even if you haven't got martial arts training, but you've built some energy and you've got you're building up a willpower, you still can, you could give it some, because you've got chi behind you. Even if you don't know what you're doing.
I realize it's slightly related to adrenaline, but
it is exactly
the car
adrenaline.
gets crashed.
It's exactly adrenaline. Yeah, that's the hormonal release. You see, the first base hormone, sexual hormone, comes up to adrenaline, then it goes up to insulin. Adrenaline is where we're already elevating a bit into martial arts, but you've got to harness the adrenaline so that you control it. You're able to release a massive amount of adrenaline, but I can control the damn thing. Now I've focused adrenaline into a fight. That's the high level mastery. But if you can go higher, now it goes into insulin. So that's more like heat. That's more like just wanting to dance. It's a bit more pleasurable than fighting. Yeah. But that gives you more mobility. And it goes up higher and higher and higher, of course, until you were talking about what we're saying here, eye level, third eye level. Now that's still controlling high level hormones, but now when you give them a look, all right, I'll leave you alone. Yeah. So you finished the fight before it started, just with a Paddington Bear. It's the hard stare. And they, what was that? I've got a headache now. Pure energy on a higher level.
Yeah, I think when some of my students, because I don't we're all similar age, I'm in my mid-40s, and a lot of them are like mid-30s up to a little bit older than me. But I spar and I'm easygoing. I'm a bit of a joker, but the odd time, somebody's got it on them, and I can see they want to have a bit of a scrap with me, test the teacher, how it goes. And so I just remember one time I just went into my actual fight mode, and it all was just my eyes changed. That was it. There was nothing else changed, just my eyes. He goes, "Whoa, I have never seen you look at anyone like that before." I'm like, well, because I've never wanted to kick your ass before. It was all very friendly. It was all very friendly. Right. That is that.
Yeah, that is right. And when I don't do much sparring now, I spar with my friend that I do my videos with sometimes. He's even older than me, but it doesn't matter who you spar with. Even if it's a little child, you could still assume the same state of mind as if this is a real fight. Again, you control it, but you're trying to practice the state of mind as if you're fighting. And we can all do that as well, even though we're controlling it carefully. But that's right. I know that one too. People come and really have a go, and I just laugh. I think, come on, are you really trying to have a go? I'd end up stopping it. I just lock them up tight so they can't move. All right, move on to the next guy.
It's because they want to impress you, Toby. That's why it is really. Well, it's not that they want to take you down. They'd be proud. I'd be proud of them if they take me down.
Bothered about it. So I'm not. That's it. I'm not bothered. I don't mind losing. I'm quite happy to lose. It's always learning. When I used to teach, I had a student who was a white belt, but he was taller than me, 6 foot tall Nigerian guy, became one of my best friends. This guy was a natural fighter. I mean, he nearly went to the Olympics in Taekwondo. He built up. He was so good. It's virtually unbeatable. So I'm the black belt teaching the class years ago now. He's a white belt. I always sit everyone down at the end, me and him have a fight. Was he fighting the white? Well, no, this guy can fight. He'd always knock me down. I'd always knock down at least once to the floor. I'd never get knocked down. But this guy's legs were so long. He was so fast. One push, you get down. I get up. It's important that students saw that. It doesn't matter you get knocked down. I'm not trying to lose. I want to show you I'm having a go against a bigger, tougher opponent. You know, we got to I got to show it, because most people don't like to do that. Oh, and they won't, you know, they want to always look good. But I think I'm all about honesty. You know, I want to tell it honestly. It's no show here. There's no masters. We've all got to be our own master. That's part of the trap. When you got engaged in a master, it's become political, and you've lost your power. You lost your power now. You've attributed it to the master. Okay, at the most we could say we're senior brothers and sisters, something like that, but not a master. You know, I'm sharing my experience, you're sharing your experience, and we hope other people can benefit from it. But I haven't had your experience, so I value your, you know, anyone's experience just as much. You know, we all had very different lives and all learned very different things, and they're all valid. So we're all equal on this path. The moment you start on the path of energy, even if you think you're a total beginner, or if you're like you and me, done 30, 40, 50 years of it, yeah, we're still on the same path and the same place. Tomorrow, when I do my exercise, I have to do exactly the same as a total beginner and get it right.
Yeah.
It's the same.
Yeah.
But maybe the experience I'm having is deeper. It's more real.
There is something to be said for having spent many years doing something and then being able to get into the flow state with it. Even though you're always still learning those things that you've already learned, to be able to enter into that flow and have no mind about it. This is one of my favorite things about, look, dancing, martial arts. I used to be a rapper many years ago. You can do the same thing there when you're freestyling. Yeah.
Brilliant.
So Toby, we're coming up to an hour, mate. I'll definitely want to speak to you again, because I think I'm already your friend. I hope I'm your friend.
Yeah. No.
Cool. So
I'm so glad you reached out to me. You know, again, I'm chuffed to see your channel and talk to you. Absolutely. So yes, we are now proper deep friends. We are fellow Jedi, if you like.
Yeah, Jedi, I like that. Well, with that said, I mean, do you have anything coming up? What I'll do is I'll interview you again in a month or two, something like that.
Yeah.
I've got a lot coming up. I've got a book that I'm releasing quite soon, so I'm
actually also working on a book. Yeah, I'm working on a little book as well. Just started, so I will have a book coming soon. It's on ether and the shamanic universe. So that's one of my big things I talk about, is the science of it. So again, that's quite controversial because it's a very different science to anything else that's out there. But I actually studied science. I'm a physicist. I have a degree in physics. So I've studied both sides. So, but now, even after studying that science, I'm talking about this science. So you can look at it as Taoist philosophy combined with Tesla's understanding of the universe.
Yes. And I call that the secret science. Yeah.
As soon as I saw your channel, I thought, brilliant name. I was trying to think of one. That's what I got, but you got a great one as well. Really good name.
I have one question. Maybe we can follow this up next time.
Yes.
At the bottom of this secret science is the sound stuff, the energy stuff. There's a parallel there. You could call it sound, call it energy. And there's all these these harmonic numbers related to it: 108, 24, 432, all these numbers.
Yeah.
And now I see those appearing in all these energy arts. Tai Chi, you got 24 form, 108 form.
108. So 108, very important. 36.
Yeah.
There's a one.
Yeah. So I'm trying to make some connection there. I think there's more gold to be mined from this connective tissue. So maybe that's something we'll talk about another time. But I just wanted to
I'll give you a little. Yeah, I'll tell you a little bit quickly because it's well interesting. Again, it's to do similar to these old world structures. These resonant buildings to do with sound. You connect to the stars. You connect to the cosmos. There's alignment happens. But you'll see it in the Taoist practice of Tai Chi. They would have something like the 7-star practice. So they will actually have points, 7-star points. They connect to the Big Dipper, the stars in the sky. And they will do their moving steps onto these positions that literally connect to the stars. So it is very much the same thing. You're doing a physical movement set. You will create shapes, postures that will have a resonant effect. And again, you're moving in a way that connects to the cosmos on the earth, like you will start facing north. So in Tai Chi, they'll say north, but literally you align yourself with north and you're going through the compass
pole, isn't it?
Yeah, it's exactly the same thing. You are aligning your body with the cosmos, just like you create a building or a church to align it with the cosmos, collect the electrostatic force, again, telluric currents from the earth, but resonant, etheric. Again, it's etheric energy. That's why people don't understand it. Subtle, more subtle energy, but it resonates in these structures, and we're doing it in the body. And that's where the numbers come in. So again, you'll have 18, you do 18 repetitions, 36 repetitions. I don't worry about it too much. I do very simple ones because in my mind, I'm connecting. I know what I'm doing, and you can do it in a freestyle way as well. You can just feel it. And you might just notice, I finished now. I did 36. Wow, you know.
I mean, as far as all that connecting to the Big Dipper stuff and the pole star, it seems to me like this whole art, and I have there's a lot of books about, goes back to some prehistoric Stone Age shamanic science of the pole star. That's what because it's in the European tradition as well, this stuff, but it's just a bit more deeply encoded, and it seems to be revolving around the pole star. But this is for another time, Toby, because I can smell my tea. My tea's ready. So man, everybody, where are you from, Toby?
I'm London.
Where are you living?
North London, Edgware, Colindale. North London.
Mate, I lived in Neasden, Kilburn, Camden.
Very close. Yeah. Whereabouts are you now? Yeah. Whereabouts are you?
I'm up north now. I'm in Preston.
Preston. All right.
Yeah, northwest coast.
Well, we've got to see. We've got to see if we can organise a meet-up one day. It'd be great to actually meet up properly. It's not
certainly.
Too far.
I'm going to put you onto some mates of mine as well. Actually, everybody, I've got a show this Sunday on the Amish Inquisition, everyone's favourite. Because it's my birthday, I'm going to have a bit of rum as well, and talk like a pirate for a bit. But I'll see if they'll love you on the Amish Inquisition. They tend to like British guys because they're just trying to make more connections. So yeah, we'll get you on the Amish. You'll love that. It's supposed to be Spanish Inquisition, but they just say Amish Inquisition because they're a bunch of Northern dickheads. So thank you very much, Toby. Thanks for your time, mate. I'm sorry I've got to rush this at the end, but things go on. But
thank you, Roy. Yeah. Absolute pleasure. Always here. Always up for it. Thank you.
Cool. Yes, thank you. So we'll have Toby back in a couple of months. Everybody else, we've actually got a Discord called the Jedi Academy, where there's quite a few of us. We've got megalithic researchers. We've got Arwen Spring. He's another YouTube energy guy that's on here, Welsh fella. We've got me. We've got Dane, who does the harmonic stuff from America. We've got people that from Australia. Sorry. We've got people that do the sound stuff, with the 108s and the 432s. We've got a whole collection of people. And if you guys want to come on there, I will put a link in the header and you can come and join the Jedi Academy. But we are strict. If you're any fannying about or whimbling or any other words of makeup, you're out. We want people doing the work. Thank you very much. Okay, everybody. Enjoy whatever day this comes out on. Take it easy. Peace.
Bye.